More Black women in management means more Black wealth, more Black impact, and more Black influence. You feel me? Let's get ready. Hello there. If you don't know me, my name is Mercedes. I'm the career love coach, and my entire thing is helping Black women pursue a career that they love and pursue bliss at work. And I also know that a key part of Black women advancing and moving forward in their career, whether that means financially, in terms of skill set, in terms of title, management is a big piece of that. Black women need the opportunity to advance into management in order to grow their career. So let's talk about that. I'm going to talk about how I got into management, my career path, and a couple of tips that I think will help you as you move forward. So let's get into it. So, I'm pretty young. I'm 28. And I became a manager at 25. So yeah, it was a fun time for me, okay? But all of that being said, I have loved so much of what it has meant to be a manager. And so I'll give you a little bit about my career trajectory and again, how I got there. And also at the end of the video, I'm going to make sure to share my biggest mistake. I won't say it's a regret, but I would say this is a big mistake to really watch out for in your career to make sure that you are able to move to management and above. Okay, let's start with my story. Okay, so if you are actually new here, you might not know this. I have been in HR for my entire career, and about 3 months ago at the time of this recording, I transitioned from HR to DE&I. I love it, and I've been, again, in a management level role since 2020. Woo! Oh, okay. So all of that being said, it has been a really amazing career. It's been something that I've absolutely loved all the time. And when I talk about career bliss, yes, I have pursued that as I have gone, and I've really pursued careers and jobs that have given me a fulfilling, meaningful career. So all of that being said, I started off as an HR intern, okay? I graduated from college with my master's degree. I started as an HR intern, and immediately I was doing all of the things. I'm a high performer. I love what I do, and so I want to be good at it. And so very quickly at the organization that I first started my HR career with, I went from an intern to an assistant to a coordinator pretty quickly. I think it was a promotion a year because I was doing the thing, okay? And then we're not going to go into that story, but definitely go to my website, read up on it, watch some other videos. I talk about it all the time, but it was no longer giving what it needed to give. So I was like, it's time for me to go. I need to go. I need to pursue other things. I need to pursue a career, just an organization that I'm going to be happier in. So it wasn't really necessarily HR. It was really that organization that I was in. So that being said, I left. I became a more senior level recruiter role. So it was a talent consultant position. And then when I was in that position, I was promoted after a year into the manager of the team that I was managing. So I was managing anywhere between 3 to 6 recruiters during my time at that role. And like I mentioned, I transitioned into DE&I, so I'm still a manager. I'm managing less people now, but it's ultimately something that I have loved. And honestly, like I said, I think having more Black women come into management is a great move for us to help to diversify workplaces, to really be able to lift up other Black women who are coming after us, and to create an organization and to be the leader that we would have wanted to have earlier in our career. I happen to have a really fabulous manager, but I know that's not really the case for all of us, right? So that being said, definitely if you're thinking about it, do it. The only way that you can tell whether you're going to like being a manager is if you do it. And so that really takes me into the next part of our chat for today, is talking about what I think made me successful as a manager. So let's start. Okay, before I do that, I just want to say that I am in a grow my channel moment, okay? Your girl has some goals, okay? So if you are liking this video, if you are getting value, if you just like me and my vibe, like subscribe to this video, also like it, leave me a comment, just engage with this video. It is so important for me to build this community, but it's also just important for me to grow my YouTube channel, okay? I'm going to be honest with you here, okay? I'm trying to grow, okay? Okay. No, I'm just kidding, but you don't have to, but if you are enjoying this, like, stay around for a while, engage with this video. Okay, let's get back into it. Okay, so I have 5 things altogether that I really think was crucial in me making that leap from what I call an individual contributor, meaning you're individually contributing to the role. You don't have any managerial or supervisory responsibility. So I'm going to tell you how I made that leap from an individual contributor to a manager, okay? So the first one is that I was a strong individual contributor, right? Which is why the definition was helpful, okay? So I wanted to make sure throughout my career that I was making impact, that I was making change, that I was good at my job, that I was an expert in what I did. And that drove me through everything, right? I understand that that's not the thing for everybody, but it was for me, and it was important for me to be good at my job. And so I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to take over everything. I wanted to make change. I wanted to help people be happy. I wanted to really help the organization and see it move forward. And so in any role that I have been in throughout my career, I've done that pretty quickly. And I really made a name for myself, even though like maybe they were smaller companies, right? But either way, like it is so ingrained. And so when I talk about being a good individual contributor, a strong individual contributor, it means being the best at what you do. It means providing value. It means having a level of expertise and really shining through in everything that you do so you can really make your mark. And I will say that absolutely helped position me where it was an easy sell for me to take on a manager level position, right? Because I had already demonstrated how much I was able to do, perform, and my potential. I will also say within this period of time, I was not just doing things that were in my regular role as a recruiter, right? I was doing other things like training, coaching, developing, consulting, right? And those are all skills that are really needed for a supervisory role, right? So in that same way, I was making or creating opportunities for me to kind of be more of an indirect supervisor. I don't really know if that's a name, right? But being in a position where I was directing others' work, where I was providing performance feedback, where I was coaching, training, consulting, again, with other people to help them improve their performance, learn a new skill, things like that. Things that a manager needs to do to be a good manager for their team. Delegation is also one of them, okay? So all of that being said, I was very intentional about stepping up and taking those roles, even if it wasn't in my job description, because I wanted to learn those skills, okay? So, period. Okay. Okay, number 2 is that I advocated for myself. So I see Black women all the time. They are doing 5 people's jobs. They are really creating these awesome results, but they don't self-advocate. Now, I know that's a hard thing because Black women are a lot of the times penalized for advocating for themselves. However, if you are in an organization that penalizes you for advocating for yourself, your growth, your development, and your promotion, period, at the end of the day, then you shouldn't be there because they are not going to promote you, they don't value you, and they don't respect you. So why would you be putting in all of that work for an organization that will not support you? Okay, getting off of the horse, okay? But all of that being said, make sure you are first in a place that is going to allow you to self-advocate for yourself freely, to be your true self at work, and to really show and demonstrate what you bring to an organization, right? So that's step 1. If you're in that organization, let's go. Do it. If you're not in that organization, start your job search. That's another video, okay? Not that you can't make a pivot, become a manager, and, do a job search at the same time, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Okay, let's keep going. So how did I advocate for myself, right? I constantly talked about how I wanted to be a manager one day. Like, it was probably obnoxious. No, I'm just kidding. I had a really fabulous manager, so it was fine. But I talked about like how I wanted to identify opportunities for me to, you know, gain the skills that was needed to become a manager. So get involved in projects that would really help me, again, be that strong individual contributor that I just mentioned. I also was talking about my accomplishments. So every time that I had a performance review process, I would identify exactly what I did, what I accomplished, how I provided value. And I was also in a place, right, where I was really performing at a high level. So I was getting feedback from others about my experience. And that leads me to number 3. But again, make sure that you are, what is the right word? Make sure that you're advocating for yourself, especially if no one else is doing it. But also, you should have a sponsor in any organization. A sponsor is somebody that's in the room when you're not, who can advocate for you, right? So in my case, when I was becoming a manager, my manager who was exiting was a really great sponsor for me and really advocated for me coming into that role. And that's so, so important for Black women, to have allies and sponsors who are going to really support us as we're moving through our journey. Okay, number 3, I know I spoiled this a lot, but this is about gaining buy-in through relationships, right? So I was telling you just now that I was interacting with all of these leaders in the organization, and they were able to give me really great feedback. So I was able to use, honestly, recommendations, informal recommendations, right? But just people telling me, you know, thanking me for the job that I had done, me being able to have really tangible outcomes for the work that I was doing. And like, to put that into perspective, right? I was a recruiter, right? So that was people that I was working with, like hiring panels. That was the leaders that I was working with, like hiring managers who were thankful for the advice and guidance that I gave them. And it was really the outcomes of the amazing talent that I was hiring, right? And so there are specific outcomes that are going to be really important in your role to make sure that you capture those and relay those to others, right? So those kudos that you get, those accolades, those thank yous, keep them, right? Because you want to make sure that you have something to show for what you've done. On the other hand, all of those people that you've been making that impact with, right? They're going to be able to advocate for you in other ways, right? It might not be as specific as them going into, you know, the hiring manager's office and being like, you need to make them a manager. That's like a little much. But I mean, you know, for instance, in my role, I was in an HR department. So, right, I was able to build a relationship with the vice president. I was able to build a relationship with the assistant vice president, as well as the director, because of how much impact I was making in the work that I was doing, right? And so they already had so much of a sense of who I was, what I could do, and what I have done, and the impact that it was having. And so suddenly when I was going to interview for the position and I was, you know, expressing interest in it, it really wasn't a surprise. Like, it seemed like a great next step for me based on what I've done, right? So I was able to gain that buy-in even, honestly, before the position even opened. I'm not saying like I was vying for my manager's job, but it's like, no, it just makes sense. Like, you've seen the track record of this person over time. So that's why it's so important. I will also say this, I don't want to get too much into like a rabbit hole, but I have seen that happen in the opposite way, where somebody was really like, they weren't engaged, they weren't showing up, they weren't really trying to go above and beyond in their work. And when that position came up, there was a lot of doubt about whether they'd be able to do that job and do that successfully. And ultimately, in some ways, like, they came in with doubt. So I've even seen people get that position, and they came into that role with doubt, and it just didn't work out. So make sure, if you're going for this, you keep that intention and be consistent throughout. Do not be like, oh, there's a manager level role, let me get my together really quick. Like, no, like, be consistent. I told you a whole year before I became a manager, I was advocating for myself, saying, this is what I want. These are this is my goal. And so I stayed consistent that entire time. So please keep that in mind. And number 4, this is what I'm calling the fluffy stuff, right? This is what I'm calling the things that are not necessarily always job duties, but that help you in the process. And those things, I think, are, I got my notes, right? It's passion, vision, and interpersonal skills. So those fluffy things, when they're together and it's visible in the work that you do, will absolutely help you. So for instance, you being able to show how passionate you are about the work that you do helps to create a tone of how passionate you'll be about the work that you do, right? So they won't have to worry about whether or not you care about the job or the people that you manage. 2, vision, right? If you've already demonstrated that you see a certain way of doing things and how you can move a team forward before you're leading them, that's going to give you a ton of traction in order to be able to allow them to see that vision and you in that vision right before you take the job. And then the interpersonal skills, right? Like working well with others, teamwork, delegation, conflict management, handling complex tasks, like task management, project management, all of those things that have to do with the soft, and I know project management in some ways is not always a soft skill, like it's a lot of hard skills with that, but I'm saying like these soft skills of working with others, you being able to demonstrate that throughout your career is going to help you, okay? And 5 is I package my skills. So I've been telling you this whole time how I was super clear on like what I've done, my accomplishments, my metrics, all of those things. And I made sure that I knew those so that when I went to write my resume, when I went to talk about myself in my interview, and when others were speaking with me, it wasn't hard for me to talk about how fabulous I am. That's really what it is. So I'm just kidding. I'm really humble, but when you are interviewing, you have to show up with confidence, okay? Confidence has been shown to have better outcomes than actual competence in an interview process. I just want you all to know that. Be confident. Even if you're not sure you'll be a great manager, be confident. Okay, I should have put that somewhere in here, right? It was scary for me. I was absolutely terrified the entire time I was interviewing, but I don't know, I showed up with confidence. At least I'm pretty sure. I have this funny video, maybe I'll put it in here, where I was like singing the Schuyler sisters because I was obsessed with Hamilton at the time, and I was like, let me hype myself up before this interview, and I'm like singing Hamilton. Let me go find it. I'll be back. The Schuyler sisters. I'm looking for a mind that work, in the greatest city in the world. In the greatest city in the world. Hey fam, I just submitted my video interview for the manager position. I think I did great. I feel good. And hopefully next week I'll hear something. Hopefully this week I'll hear something, if not maybe next week. But I feel good and I'm proud of myself for doing that. And don't I look good? Look at his hair. Yes, look at this juiciness. Look at this blazer. Look at this Morphe makeup. Look at my Bermuda necklace. Look at this nice professional dress, shirt, blouse, and my jeans. Girl, come on, let's go. I submitted it. Look at that. All right, bye, y'all. Pray for me. I was speaking it to an existence before I started recording, okay? It's mine. Oh my gosh, what if I did this and I like couldn't find the video? It's fine, I'll find it. Okay, so all of that being said, there are so many different things that you can do to be successful in your transition to management. In my case, it happened to be in an organization where I was. And like I said, if you're not in a place, I want to say I think it's a lot easier to transition into a management role when you're in the organization that you're in, right? I think it's harder when you look at like when you're trying to change companies and also move into management at the same time. Now, that's not to say that you can't, because the same way that you have to package your skills internally to prove that you can be a manager is the same way that you need to do that when you package your skills externally. So it's not to say that you can't, but I think it's just a lot easier. So if you, again, you're not in an organization that's supporting your growth and development, especially as Black women, okay, then it's a sign, okay? Get out of there. Please, bye. Okay, so before I go on to tell you all about my biggest mistake, I would love to know from you, what have you felt like was the most insightful thing that you learned thus far that I shared with you? And let me know below and how you like this video. Okay. Okay, before I go on to tell you about my biggest mistake, I wanted to share that the story of Black women feeling stuck in their career, not knowing how to advocate for themselves, not understanding the dynamics of building that relationship so that they can move into management, happens all the time. Like, it's a big trend for the coaching clients that I work with. I have one client that actually two. Oh my God. Look at them. Okay, sorry. But I have two clients right now that have just really amazed me in how they've shown up for themselves, advocated for who they are, their skill set, and what they can do, and have done and has made that promotional change, okay, and has become managers. So I just want you to know that if you have been especially stuck in this place and you really need to make that pivot, schedule a call, love, okay? I create customized coaching plans, whether that's mentoring or career coaching, career love coaching in terms of packages, or a full 90-day plan to help you make that transition. I do that with my coaching clients to help them get the type of results that they want in their career, be that getting that promotion, becoming a manager, becoming a director, whatever that looks like for you. Let's make a plan, okay? Because we're going to make it happen, okay? So if you would love to work with me and make that happen in your career, you can schedule a career clarity chat below. They're just 15 minutes. They're totally free, and they're not stressful. I'm just going to ask you about what you got going on, what you want, ask you a couple of follow-up questions just to make sure I understand. And then I'm going to give you advice, right? I'm going to tell you, here's what you need to do. Here's what your next step is. And if it makes sense to work with me from a career coaching standpoint, then we'll talk about that as well. But like I said, there's no pressure here. I am here to provide support, guidance, and mentorship for my beautiful Black women in my community. So, okay, let's talk about my mistake. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I have not regretted anything about my career. In fact, I have loved my career. I have loved every decision that I've made. However, even though I did become a manager at 25, I think I actually could have done that faster. And I could probably have been in a different place now if I had really not waited so long. So in my past career, right, I was telling you I was moving up, and I was progressively getting a bigger title and a pay range, a pay increase. What am I saying? I'm getting tired. A pay increase as I was going, but the organization was small, and I knew that there wasn't really going to be any opportunity where I was going to be a manager within that period of time. And I do honestly think that if the culture hadn't changed so much, I would have stayed there longer. And I can't tell you, if I would have stayed there even longer, I definitely wouldn't have become a manager for some time, even though, again, I was doing informal management there. I can just tell you that I wouldn't have been where I am today in my career if I'd stayed. The other hand, I think in my last role when I first became a manager, I think I stayed there way too long as well. So it's not to say that you have to job hop. If you want to stay where you are because you like it and you're comfortable, you can. But when we talk about growth, when we talk about becoming leaders in an organization, every year that we stay in a role where we've really maxed out what we're learning and how we're growing in that role, or if we're being stifled, because that's another thing too, right? We've been placed into this management role, or we've been placed in this higher level role, but we really aren't growing or developing because nobody will support that. We're being told no, or we can't move forward with things. That's also stifling as well, okay, whether or not you have a title or not. And so I will say that just as you're moving through your journey, be careful about whether you're becoming stagnant in your career, because that can really hold you back, okay? So I can definitely say I probably, looking back at it, if I had moved a little bit earlier in my last role, I might have been in a director level role. I'm also on the other hand of thinking, I think things happen as they should. And I probably, if I would have left maybe a year into it or two, I stayed for too long, I said, I probably would not have been in DE&I. I probably would have continued in talent acquisition, which I know where my heart is, okay? It's in DE&I stuff. But all of that being said, like, make sure that you're not settling, make sure that you're not complacent, and make sure that you're making the moves that's going to help you to have the career trajectory that you want, the lifestyle that you want, the type of income that you want. These are all important things. Okay, I have talked for way too much. This was supposed to be a short video, but I had so much to say. For all of my girlies who are here, you're listening to this, you want to become a manager, but also your organization is trash, because I know some of y'all are out here. Y'all just stay to the end. I want you to go down in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description, and I want you to go access the Black Woman Approved Workplaces database. That is a big word to say that I have compiled a list of employers from other Black women who have advocated that these employers are providing them with safe places for them to work, grow, and develop as leaders. So go access that link and find out if there's any employer that are hiring in your discipline where you want to go in management roles or adjacent. If you're like, I'm preparing for this next step and then management, right? Because like I said, it's easier when you're in the organization, they know who you are, to give you that bump. Also, it's easier for them to just try and keep you stuck. So careful. But all of that being said, download the Black Women Approved database. It's completely free. You can see all the employers, and then you can find out which ones you should apply to based on what they got available and their industry, all that kind of stuff. It's in the database. Okay, so I hope that you really loved this video. I hope that you got a lot. I hope that you are feeling inspired to go ahead and be the manager that you were meant to be, make an impact on the world, and also bring back your Black-owned wealth, okay? Because we know that the Black community needs that to grow, and the more Black women, again, that we have in places of power to influence, to make change, the better. I look back at my career and am excited to say that I was in the rooms that I was in, that I was able to make the changes that I was able to make, and I think that's why we need more Black women in the room, in leadership rooms, in the boardroom, in the, I don't know, in the management team. So all of that being said, you like this video, like, share, comment, subscribe, all of the things, and I will see you back for the next video. I am pretty sure I'm doing another management one soon, so subscribe. Okay, bye.